Well, the first problem is they're really complicated. So existing cities are large, complex organisations with many, many different organisations and entities operating together. So trying to change them is a very difficult leadership challenge. And also very complicated because of all the legacy, the existing technologies and competition between different public and private sector organisations within cities and such. So it's complicated to change things at a systemic, fundamental level. So what we've seen in most large existing cities is very much a kind of incremental, try and tackle one piece at a time type of change. And the problems are very complex, things take a long time. What's kind of interesting and exciting is to look at opportunities for a more greenfield approach to digital city creation. And one of the most exciting and kind of interesting examples in Asia is the new Songdo, a city which is being built in South Korea, close to Incheon Airport. So the city's being built entirely on reclaimed land in an area which was part of the Yellow Sea. It's coming up to completion in the next 3 to 5 years. Will accommodate something like 300,000 people during the day, 60,000 or so residents permanently, and is one of the first totally master planned cities which is coming to fruition, where the master planning of the city has been based on the idea of sustainability, reducing its environmental impact, making it an airtropolis, so locating it to an airport, and making it a kind of a new, more efficient, more sustainable, more digitally enabled place for people to live, work, play and learn. So Songdo is a very interesting laboratory which a lot of organisations around the world are looking at as an example of a new world of the digital city. The reason Ovum uses these two categories, digital city and digital society, is that it's not sufficient just to have a kind of science fiction style digital city. It's also got to be an interesting and fun place for people to want to live in. And it also has to have a social fabric. There has to be social capital, the propensity of people to voluntarily contribute their time to the goodness of their city. And this is all about building groups of people, communities within the city, separate from its kind of efficient functioning. So it's all very well for a city to be more efficient in terms of transport and healthcare and education and the basic services, but it's got to be a place that people want to live in as well. And so the investments are required in both the digital city systems, which make the city more efficient, but also in the digital society, which build social capital and make the city the type of place that people want to live in. We need to think of in these two categories really of the new master planned cities and what's often referred to as brownfield or urban regeneration, urban redevelopment. But the base platform for a digital city, it almost goes without saying, but it's one of the most difficult things, is the existence of ubiquitous internet connectivity. So broadband networks, fibre optic, wireless are the basic building blocks of a digital city, just in terms of base connectivity. So in Australia, for example, the federal government is rolling out a national broadband network, a $40+ billion project to build a fibre optic network throughout the country. In Guangdong, in China, there are big investments in cities for wireless infrastructure, simply to try and establish that base condition of ubiquitous fibre optic or wireless connectivity. So that's the first and biggest challenge for many countries. Some countries like South Korea is a good example, already have very high investments and connectivity. Other cities around the region, India particularly, broadband is at a very low level of widespread penetration. So the first and biggest investments are in the internet and wireless mobile connectivity. Above that then, There is a wide range of things that need to be put in place, some of which are to do with the regulatory environment that governments need to create to stimulate a trusted digital economy through legislation for protection of intellectual property, for privacy and such, and regulation which causes people to invest in digital society initiatives. For example, some countries are quite restrictive in the way they think about the use of the internet and Facebook and such, and that slows down the adoption of these things in the digital society. Look, the financing comes from a number of different areas. The city's own tax base, the ability to get investment funding from higher levels of government, so regional and national governments. Also the ability to get investment from global organisations like the United Nations or the World Bank, and also the ability to attract investment from corporations that base themselves in the city. So what we're seeing is there's a stronger and stronger sense of competition between cities around the world to attract the right people, to attract the right businesses to set up in their city, and to attract investment funding to build the digital city infrastructure. So this sense of competition is starting to become stronger as we're seeing more and more cities needing to be built. And the cause of growth of populations in cities is twofold. One is natural population growth, but the other is inward migration. So there's a strong sense that people around the world are more mobile and that they want to live in cities that are vibrant, economically strong and fun places to live and work. So investment attraction is a big part of digital city thinking. How do you get the money to build the digital city so you can attract the right people, so that you can have economic growth, but do it in a way that is sustainable and also creates a fun place for people to want to live in. Songdo in South Korea is kind of viewed as the most interesting example of this, and it seems to be successful so far, even though it's sort of early days. These things will take a decade or so to prove themselves in terms of once they're built. There's an amount of excitement and energy around the initial phase of a city's development like this. The test will be in 10 years' time. Has it continued to thrive and grow as an exciting place for commerce and an exciting place to want to live and work?